Hi, everyone. I'm James Garbutt.
And I'm Denny Dumas.
And this is the Garbutt Dumas Real Estate Podcast. Denny, evaluating properties in this hot Vancouver market. It's October. Market's kind of crazy. How do you evaluate a property today?
Something you always talk about is, I've heard you say this so many times in listing appointments when we're in markets like this in 2016, 17, 2021, of course. It's a moving target.
That's one of my lines, yeah.
And having any certainty on the exact value of a property is false. There's no such thing. And we'll maybe kind of chat about it from a listing perspective as well as from a buying perspective when you're representing a buyer that is going into multiples and you are trying to give them suggestions and advice on what number to put down to hopefully be successful. But let's start with the listing side. In slower years, we've done podcasts about like how we evaluate properties and, you know, how far back we look and what aspects of a property we take into consideration when suggesting list price range. In past markets, in slow markets, like 2019, we're probably looking back 12 months. And in some even previous years, we're looking back 2 years.
Oh, geez. I think in like 2014, you could have probably looked back to like 2011, 2010. You know, when you have a pretty flat few years, you can go deeper. But this year, if you went back 2 years, you'd be looking at a different number. And if you went back 6 months, arguably, you'd be completely off.
Totally. And in markets like this, it's really, really important to understand how quickly it's changing and understand how quickly that sale price for a neighborhood is changing. And it seems like for single family homes, for a lot of townhouses in Greater Vancouver, it seems like that benchmark is being adjusted every couple weeks. And when you're evaluating a property, when you're suggesting list price to a seller right now, really what you're doing is looking at the last couple sales. And if those last couple sales are in the spring of 2020, they're pretty much irrelevant. If you're looking at a sale in March, April this year, we probably saw in some neighborhoods a 10 to 15% increase over the summer and through the early part of the fall. And if you're pricing a property at a comparable sale that sold in March or April, you're probably going to be stupid busy.
I mean, a good example is the townhouse Monica sold a week ago on Balmoral. There were 6 other sales in 2021. All of them started with a 6 or a 7. So they're in the 700 or 600 range. Yeah. And her sale was in the 9s. So it was a jump. It was a 20% jump over a couple months. And if she priced it higher, and she still got, how many offers? Do you remember? It was 17 offers. Yeah. So if you priced a townhouse with sales that were 6 months ago, get ready for a gong show of an offer presentation. 17 might be the light number of offers if you're in a hot market like Port Moody.
Mm-hmm. I think acknowledging your point too is that it's a moving target. And when you're suggesting list prices to sellers or a list price range, keep in mind that in these crazy busy markets, it is likely that you're going to get multiple offers. And that is often when the seller gets the best result, the seller gets the best sale price. So keeping in mind that list price is a strategic number that a lot of realtors at the moment are purposely listing slightly low to encourage all of that activity.
I think my process for just, evaluating property is a real important part of the listing process. I mean, if you go in with the right number, the outcome can be amazing. So the process that I kind of take on is, especially with this moving target market, is I want to know what sold in the last 30 days, 60 days. And that might be, if it's a townhouse, I want to know the townhouses that sold in the last 36 days, or if it's a townhouse that I think is worth $800,000 or $800,000, I want to know what sold between $700,000 and $900,000 in the last 30 to 60 days. So I want a quick snapshot of the latest sales, and a lot of those latest sales may not be in the complex, they may not be a similar product, but they're going to tell me an idea of how much above list price they went, or they'll give me some guide. Then I want to go deeper into, so if there is no sales in that complex, then I want to understand, so first I look at the latest sales, then second I want to understand the latest sales that are relevant in that complex or neighborhood. And those sales might be 6-9 months back, a year back, but they're arguably they're going to tell me what they were going for in that complex at that time. I can compare the sale prices of, say, a year ago in this example complex with the latest sales in the last 30 days and see what they were selling a year ago. So as a comparison. So it's basically kind of working backwards. And then ultimately, if you don't have any real close comparables, maybe it's like some complexes don't have a lot of turnover. Some houses are hard to evaluate. Some neighborhoods are very unique. It's okay to go 2 years, 3 years back to really understand the sales in the direct neighborhood. And sellers appreciate it when you know the house across the street sold 2 years ago. It's a great way to gain trust in a listing appointment. So even if you are going to a different market, understanding the sales at that time, 2-3 years back, if that's what it takes to get the closest sales to the subject property, it's good to know that because you can always cross-reference it with the sale that happened 2 weeks ago and what they were going for 2 years ago, if that makes sense.
Yep. I think it's important to touch on the buy side too. And when you have a buyer going into multiple offers, yes, we're evaluating the property. Yes, we're showing them some solds or some properties that have recently sold in the complex, in the neighborhood, whatever it may be. And again, really paying attention to any most recent sales in those last month or two. It's important, I think, to acknowledge to buyers that in this moving market, it seems like every sale is beating the last sale. And so acknowledging that, hey, here is the last single family home sale in this neighborhood, pretty similar, had a 1-bedroom suite. This home has a 1-bedroom suite. Some updates may vary a little bit. That one sold for 1.4. This one's priced at 1,399 and they're expecting 7 offers. So we're probably going to set a new record. What is that sale price going to be? It's a bit of a guess.
It's a frustrating time for buyers. It's a frustrating time for buyers that want a deal. There are no deals. And, well, it depends on what it is. I mean, there are still some products that are a little softer, say inner city condos in some markets. But if you're looking for a house or a townhouse, odds are it's a hot product. And if you're offering in line with the last sale that happened in June or May, and it's a multiple offer situation, it's unlikely to happen. And recognize that the next sale price in that complex sets a new precedent for the future ones. So even though it's a challenging thing to do when you're offering $100,000 above the last sale price, the next one might be worse. So recognize that the sales that are happening today in a climbing market set the precedent for the sales that are going to happen next spring and in the future.